as an epidemic, one which has been exacerbated by the coronavirus lockdown. Now a fifth of adults under 35 say they have only one or no close friends.
That is so shocking. To combat this loneliness, young people are being encouraged to participate in their community. There's a think tank called Onward. They're asking the government to create a national civic service, we're going to find out what that is, for young adults, where they could get rewards through doing deeds in their community. That could then be redeemed against things like your student loan costs or going towards training courses.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Let's get more on this. Will Tanner, director of Onward, is with us.
Welcome back. Now, the number of people visiting the high street last month was down almost a third compared to before the pandemic. Shopper footfall decreased by almost 30% in June this year compared to the same month in 2019. With restrictions easing even more on July the 19th, will we see shops recover? Consumer and retail expert Kate Hardcastle joins us. Kate, thank you very much. Look, I was wandering down Oxford Circus this morning. It's a real challenge. I felt a bit sad walking down Oxford Circus.
Too.
It's supposed to be this fantastic part of our high street, and it looks really, really run down. Also, the sales just seem to be absolutely exploding everywhere. They're just desperately trying to get us to spend money.
It would be nice to see some vibrancy in the high streets. Right, coming up in the next hour at the Great British Breakfast, more on the balance between celebrating England's Euros success and keeping the country safe.
Good morning. These are the stories you're waking up to this Friday. England supporters have been enjoying the Three Lions' success at the Euros, but at what cost? The current rise in COVID cases has been linked to football fans throughout the UK. So, is watching the Euros bad for your health?
Also, in Great British news, we're expecting confirmation this morning that the UK economy is bouncing back strongly as we continue to come out of lockdown. How much of that is down to the football feel-good factor?
There's been a five-fold rise in flight bookings following the changes to travel restrictions. But will more flights mean more delays as airports struggle to cope?
And Northern Ireland are also expected to allow fully vaccinated travellers to skip quarantine from the 26th of July. Is it time for Scotland and Wales to follow suit? That's all coming up on the Great British Breakfast. Good morning to you. Now, the NHS COVID app is to be made less sensitive as numbers of people being pinged rose 60% in a week. The government's worried that people are deleting the app to avoid being told to self-isolate.
Even some Tory MPs are doing it. One said the saying in the parliamentary tea rooms is, stay home, protect the holiday, save your marriage. Well, isolation is hurting hospitality badly as large numbers of staff are having to go home and isolate for up to 10 days.
And legally, you don't have to isolate if contacted via the app, but you do if you get a call from the NHS Test and Trace.
Well, last night on GB News, Michelle Dewberry was joined by computer and security expert Professor Alan Woodward, who gave his thoughts on the app and the impact it's having on workforces up and down the country. Let's opt to watch at home.
Well, here to tell us more is Paul Hawkins, our London reporter.
0.8% in May, but remains 3.1% below its pre-pandemic peak. We'll bring you more on this with our economic editor, Liam Halligan, shortly here on GB News. Now, for children and people who've been double jabbed, the quarantine-free international summer holiday is back. From the 19th of July, you'll be able to travel to 140 amber list countries and not have to isolate when you get back home. It means Spain, France, Greece, they're all back on the cards. You'll have to take PCR tests, though, and there are warnings of long queues to get back into the UK.
Lots of us, well, wasted no time, quite frankly, making plans. Airlines say bookings rose fivefold yesterday. Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland have yet to approve those plans yet.
If you're tempted then to head off somewhere and fear that prices are rocketing, don't worry. Travel expert Simon Calder says it's not like when the green list was announced, you know, and prices absolutely skyrocketed. Let's see what Simon had to say. The quarantine-free international summer holiday is back from the 19th of July. That's Freedom Day. You'll be able to travel to 140 amber list countries and you don't have to isolate when you get home. It means like Spain, France, Greece, it's all back on the cards. You're going to have to take PCR tests, though, and there are warnings of long queues to get you back into the UK.
Well, lots of us have wasted no time in making plans then. Airlines say bookings rose fivefold yesterday. Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, though, have yet to approve those plans. Paul Charles, the CEO of travel consultancy, the PC agency, is with us now. Good to see you again, Paul. Good morning.
Good morning.
Is this good news, or is that a silly question?
If you wanted it, I think it is about making people think and just think, oh, do I actually want that if that's how bad it's going to be?
You know, that we talked about, and it was, you know, that it's still being discussed, isn't it, about restaurants on their menus having calorie content, which I don't agree with personally. And I think there's a danger there, and a lot of charities are worried about those getting obsessed with food. And, you know, I think it's quite interesting because I on alcohol, I think I'm more... I think it's better. I think it is better to have the calorie
information.
Yeah, but I wouldn't
arm people with information. What you really want them to know, I think, is your pint there that you might be sitting to enjoy on Sunday night. I want to know sort of how many equivalent bag of crisps it would be. You know, something that we really understand. You know, if you said to me that's the same as eating 3 bags of crisps or my absolute favourite cheeseburger, I might think, oh, I'll take the cheeseburger. Well, no, that's right. That's, make a different decision.
But that's what I mean. It's quite a different thing to putting it on a menu and the dangers there, isn't it? I think on alcohol, I think it's a bit more sort of like you will choose differently. I'll have a glass of water, I think. Sparkling water. Wonderful. Right.
Well, this morning we've been finding out whether watching the Euros might be bad for your health. We're not talking about there in terms of the beers you might be drinking, but in terms of catching coronavirus. You know, do you think it's hypocritical that Priti Patel has extended pub opening hours for Sunday's final as cases start to surge? And that's so that you don't get kicked out in case there's extra time or, dare I say it, penalties. Should so many fans be allowed in Wembley in the first place? 65,000 at the last game.
Lots of you getting in touch. If you want to get in touch, tweet us at GB News or email us gbviews@gbnews.uk. Matt on Twitter.
A little bit with the health risks, with all this celebration around the football, you can tweet us at GB News. Lots to come here on the Great British Breakfast. The latest figures on economic growth are out, but what do they mean for you? That's next.
Several disturbances during Wednesday's semi-final victory against Denmark. Laser was... New studies confirm children and young people have an extremely low risk of severe illness or death from COVID-19, while...
Look at what's making the national front pages this morning. Let's start off with the Times.
Yeah, let's look at the Times, leading with that double-vaccinated Britons booking their holiday story. That after the...
who's potentially coronavirus is incredibly serious for. The majority of people are saying the lockdown is over, we've had enough. So very clearly does not think there's anything unsafe about watching the football on Sunday.
Right.
And Peter gets in touch saying this is a once in a lifetime, which isn't particularly positive, and it should all go ahead. So you can see there's, you know, and you can completely understand both sides of the opinion on this one. So it's been really interesting reading the after the match on Wednesday. You know, it really has lifted people's spirits, and I love to see that. But at the same time, I have a lot of sympathy for people like Ted, who's emailed in, and for whom this is making them quite...
I thought, I mean, I really want to watch what's going on, but I'd also prefer to arrive home in one piece, please. So there was a slightly awkward conversation, so we sat and we watched it together on his phone, and then I went home. It was brilliant.
Oh, not while he was driving?
No, because I was thinking, my goodness, I need to get home in one piece,
Hold on.
So maybe some of us are making some slightly unsensible decisions because we're just going football mad, aren't we?
We are going football mad. I mean, the viewing figures for these matches are astounding.
Full stadiums in many, in the centre anyway. I know there are going to be, there will be half capacities and some outside, but it's sad, isn't it? I mean, these athletes... It's the second year now for them where things have been cancelled. And also, it's not just for them, but it's for viewers. They're desperate to see some action, get in on it. And so no wonder people are enjoying it. We're in the final. I mean, I do have to, pinch myself a little bit.
I mean, I remember asking you, does it make a difference to sports people if there's a stadium? You know, I've never performed.
Huge question mark to say maybe we shouldn't have a thing like this. They don't have vaccine rates anything like what we've seen in Europe. Let's just mention this very briefly. England final boost, 3 lie-ins potentially. This poor chap, whoever took the photograph, I hope they offered a little bit of help and assistance after. It says sleeping it off, a fan after the semis victory. But the idea here, Becca, is that we could potentially be having a bank holiday.
This has come from the top. This is Boris Johnson.
Before you go, talk more about this Coronation Street. We saw the picture in one of the papers. It was basically more red carpet than the...
Thank you.
Is that his house? How lovely. Paul, thank you very much indeed. Yes, lovely. Right, the NHS COVID app is to be made less sensitive as numbers of people being pinged rose 60% in a week. The government's worried that people are deleting the app to avoid being told to self-isolate.
Well, some Tory MPs are doing this. One said the saying in the parliamentary tea rooms is, stay home, protect the holiday, save your marriage. Well, leaving that aside, clearly the isolation is hurting hospitality. Large numbers of staff are having to isolate, sometimes for up to 10 days.
Well, last night on GB News, Michelle Dewberry was joined by computer security expert Professor Alan Woodward, who gave his thoughts on the app and the impact it's having on workforces up and down the country.